What's going on, creators? Yeah, just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate you being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, I do want to continue the conversation about mental diets and how important it is to really kind of drop the things and activities that are breaking flow. And by flow, it's maybe hard to describe to somebody that doesn't experience it regularly. But it involves being super present in the to the present moment and just being in like the zone. Basically, it's like if you're playing guitar, it's easy to kind of connect with that because you're just really just locked into what you're doing, and in very little mind activity. When you're in flow, is at least the way I experience it. And maybe another example is if you play like basketball or sports or something like that, and you're just like sinking every shot. You're just like catching everything. You're throwing it. Throwing the football awesome. It's like you're breaking tackles and all this shit, and you're just like super just locked into what you're doing. And I like to spend the majority of my day in that kind of state, just really trying to keep a gratitude mindset. And I'm not by any means perfect at it. It's like I still get triggered, but I start to recognize faster and faster the things that happen, that almost like patterns. Like at the moment for me, as like I'm just being really just pushing the internet further and further away from my day to day. I'll check in a couple times a day, but nowhere near what I was doing when it comes to just screen activities. Realizing how often especially with like social media, where you can be exposed to like hundreds of states of consciousness and just flicking through, and so much of that shit has no bearing on life in the town I live in. It's like so much of this illusion of like the country and just like the world. It's like, everything's falling apart. It's like, not here. It's like that looks like a lot of like New York and California problems. It has nothing to do with where I live. It's like, here, there's like, worries about unemployment and shit. It's like, here, every place is hiring. It's like, really feels like a fantasy anymore, just listening to a lot of these illusions, and so much of it just has no bearing on reality anyway. So it's like, putting your attention towards reacting and reacting and reacting. It's like catching the things that that are just like, I need to react to this. I need to be outraged. I need to be, it's like, well, that's people in California's problem. They let it get that way. They need to fix it. Taking individual responsibility for what can you take care of in your own life. Really, everything is part of something you can take responsibility on. I mean, it's dropping the victim mentality that's so common. And it doesn't matter what other people are doing. This is really, your life, your walk with God, your spiritual life, all these types of things, and manifesting, the life that you want to live. Realize that God's already done that. All you got to do is embody that state now, and that's so important to make that future you made it moment that a lot of times we struggle and sacrifice and strive for. Bringing that into like a present reality. It's like, embody that now. How would you feel if you were already like that? What do you feel like you're not whole and complete now? Is like, do you not feel abundant? I mean, would you want the adulation and attention of others? Why would you, why do you want that? It's like, because you want to feel worthy, you want to feel like people care, you want to feel loved. It's just like really asking yourself these like deep questions of like, what about whatever maybe material thing, because everything material is just a symbol. It's a shadow of like what's going on within. And so whatever you feel like is lacking on the outside, taking a look at where you're at with your relationships, your career, your family, your friends, your kids, your money, your power level, your sex life, every like little check mark thing, looking at it, and are you just like, does this feel well balanced? Does this feel whole and complete? Am I missing something? Because on the other, the only thing keeping it away from you is the resistance you have towards it. God's already given you everything. You're blessed now, and it's a process of like, once you really start to kind of understand that these events are not random, things going on in your life are not a coincidence, that there's a divine reason behind it. And when you start to make that connection, it's like, oh well, right now, things a shit show. So much of that has to do with these unconscious beliefs and these programs and these patterns that we just believe are real for no other reason than that we were just told that in childhood. Then it's not surprising where it's like, oh well, it starts to manifest and show you that, oh yep, it was right, even though it just on the inside you can just tell it doesn't feel right. And looking more and more to embody whoever you want to be. I mean, maybe whatever. Everybody's different. Maybe somebody wants to be a cook, somebody wants to be a cop, somebody wants to be a musician, somebody just wants to be high vibe, whatever you want to be. Embody that, whatever that you made it feels like. It's like, put it on, and live that, because as you do, that's how things start to change. That's how because God's already created it. It's already manifest in the multiverse or the quantum field or whatever. You instead of like this Newtonian way of like, well, I'm going to battle the outside, I'm going to wrestle it to the ground and make it submit. Yeah, you can do it like that. I've done it like that. But, you just spend your present moment sacrificing and grinding for this future that's not real. It's like the more you make peace with like right now, the more you're able to kind of elevate your state of consciousness. And if you're always battling with one of two choices, like, am I reacting out of fear or am I creating out of love? Most of like the old man mentality had been reactive. Oh, I got a business, and it's like I'm just dealing with shit show after drama after whatever, and I'm just one problem after the next problem. I'm just gonna wrestle it to the ground, and through my force and will, and through that kind of mentality, then I'll see this external manifestation change. I'll see the sales increase. I'll see the whatever goal start to manifest. And if your belief is that if I do these things it'll work, it probably will. But there is an easier and better way, where you just are just resting in faith that, for one, God gives you the customers. Everything is a reflection of your state of awareness and consciousness, and that includes your business, that includes your relationships, that includes your money, that includes everything. I mean, everything is in the external as a shadow. So to embody who you desire to be is to be whole and complete now, without without the resistance. So much of what you want, you already would have it if you didn't have this wall of resistance, this split energy about it, this double-mindedness about it. It's like money's a good example, where it's like, oh, on one hand, it's like it feels good to have abundance and not have to worry about how am I going to keep my house from being foreclosed on? How do I keep these bill collectors from knocking on my... Oh, it's like, oh, I gotta go to the food bank to go get groceries. Oh, I'm on food stamps now. I gotta fill out all these forms for the government. And it's like I've been on both ends of the spectrum on that. I've been completely poor. All sorts of shit, things about getting turned off, letters, not even being able to look at the mail because all these collection things, and it's just it's a nightmare to be poor. And I don't care who wants to feel glorified by being having nothing. Go for it then. Experience that to the fullest. I have, and it's better to have abundance than to be in scarcity. But even even with scarcity, you can have millions of dollars and have a scarcity mindset, because it's a double thing, where it's like you don't have it, you have scarcity, but then if you do have it, then you have scarcity because you have a fear that you're going to lose it all, and so you're just dealing with the same stress, only a different flavor of it, and it boils down to fear. But like the more that you're able to kind of stay in flow, and catch the things that are breaking your flow. Like if the Facebook is breaking your flow or social media is breaking your flow, just unplug from it. Not to say, oh, you want to destroy social media. Social media has been a blessing, for a lot of people, including myself and my business, locally, being in local groups, being able to sell things locally, through their marketplace and stuff like that. It's been very beneficial. But like, the other end of it, is like, you can get carried away in like feedback loops, and being exposed to people that just do not resonate at all with where you're coming from, and getting triggered and seeing a bunch of separation. And once you start seeing the separation, then you start losing the oneness, the and then it's like, oh, gotta climb back up. And it's like, why do I keep doing this to myself? And it's like a weird addictive pattern, and catching the addictive patterns where it's like, there's almost like an equal amount of pleasure and pain associated with it, where it's like, on one hand, it like brings you joy temporarily, where if then all of a sudden somebody triggers you on it, or you start seeing shit you don't like, and that's like, you can be in your mind about it all fucking day long on just some shit that somebody said that you don't even know who they are, really. It's like, I don't call this person, I don't see this person. Why the fuck do I care what they say? Yeah, and just really getting more and more into kind of a zone of, disconnecting from it. And it's really refreshing. And the more I do it, the more refreshing it is. And we continue to do that. Getting on the internet less and less, looking through screens less and less. It feels really good for my mental health and my mental diet. And also realizing is like, you don't need anybody out here to be your motivator, to be your inspirer. It's like connecting more and more with that, like that inner inspiration, that inner motivation. It's like, I don't need little pep talks. I don't need somebody telling me what to do either. It's like, once you start connecting with that energy and connecting with, ultimately your faith in God and spiritual things, and, seeing how that all starts to connect, and, love is, where it's at. Even though it's like, what is that? Love is such a word that's hard to define. It's like, the only thing I know about it, it's like, I know what fear is. I've experienced that plenty. It's just not that. And so I'm still exploring what love actually means. But I know that it's not fear, and that's a good enough marker for me to move in a different direction. And so, I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention. Get on here, kind of ramble for a little bit. It's been a minute since I made one of these videos. Just been so busy. On to the next handyman job. I got a bunch of like jobs I was stacking, and got a bunch of those done. I'm on to these people have been waiting for a couple of weeks, and they've paid a deposit and everything. And I'm finally gotten over there and making headway on their checklist. So that was been a big load off. That every one of these jobs, I stacked, completed them. Everybody's happy. Everybody's it all worked out victorious. And so really just sitting back and enjoying those kind of little victories is really satisfying. And hopefully inspiring on some level for maybe somebody else that's wanting to be self-employed or start a business or any of these type of things, to realize that it's possible. It's something you can do. The only thing holding you back is fear and resistance. God provides the customers and is your provider. For your money. And so really getting more into a thankful attitude about that. That you don't have to hunt and find and sacrifice and grind, but just be available, do your best, show up. This, you want the keys to success. I tell you what I've discovered so far. Show up. Okay, when you tell somebody you're gonna be there at 9 o'clock, be there at 9 o'clock. Do the best you can do. Be honest. And there you go. That's that's about 99% of it. Show up when you say, do what you say you're going to do, and if something goes out of the ordinary, be able to be communicative to others. Ultimately, the more love you put into it, the more successful you'll be. And so, with that being said, I think I'm going to bounce. So, thanks everybody for listening, and have a good rest of your now, and God bless.